thank you very much for inviting us here today. And when I was invited, I was told by the staff that there are two issues I need to talk about. One is briefly who was, and secondly, the Kashmir attention. And because the time constraint, I can't go into details about any of the two topics because they are quite complex as well. But I will try to briefly introduce who was the mover, and if there is time left, then I will say a few words about Kashmiri identity and ability respectively as well. Malbubat, as people who are from Kashmir and have some interest in Kashmiri politics and struggle for independence since the division of Kashmir in 1947, will know that he was one of the Kashmiri leaders who in the 1960s started this movement for unification and independence of Kashmir. Kashmir that was divided in 1947 between India and Pakistan, and it was expected by Kashmir that there will be a council in which they will decide what they want for the future of Kashmir. But that was then kind of pushed on the back burner, and the demand for the council was not taken seriously by either India or by Pakistan, and the international community also kind of forgotten about the situation. So he was one of the earliest leaders who actually spoke out and said that this is our right, and India and Pakistan has to give this opportunity to Kashmiris to decide for themselves rather than they decide about Kashmir. So at that time it was not very kind of accepting to say or to speak out because the situation was not very favorable. But anyway, for this position and the politics he carried forward, obviously clashed with the Pakistanis, so they arrested him, and he spent 3-4 years in different prisons of Pakistan, and then he crossed over to the Indian side where he was arrested, and where actually they had a clash with the Indian intelligence services, and then he was arrested there as well, and he was hanged there in 1984, 11th of February 1984. So that's briefly I can kind of give you a brief life within this time constraint. And if the important thing is that when he was hanged in Indian prison, 1 week before that there was a very unfortunate act of violence in Birmingham. That Indian diplomat was kidnapped, and then he was murdered. And the people who kidnapped him, they demanded the release of the Gulbar. And that is obviously a mystery for most of us, why it happened. And then in revenge of that, India kind of put aside the appeal for his death sentence, which was very favorably considered, but they put that aside and hanged him. And he was buried in the prison, and then he's still buried, and his family is trying to bring his demands. There is a campaign for that as well, that his demands to be given to Kashmiris, and they bury him, and there is an empty grave for him in the Srinagar graveyard, where maybe 100,000 other people who were killed by Indian security forces since '89 are buried. And there is his grave, and now there is another grave of the Guru in the same graveyard, and his body is also buried in the same prison where Guru was buried. So that is about the Guru. In terms of Kashmiri identity, obviously it's a very long complex subject as well. But the simple thing is that there was a adjournment debate in the British Parliament on 3rd of March, 3rd of this month, by Simon Dadyal, Roger, and he gave a detail of this community, that because this community is not recognized, therefore the need of the community and the contribution of the community in this society is also not recognized. And there are several issues facing this community which are also not recognized, and they are becoming complicated now in a very changed subject, changed context. And one of the kind of beauty of British society is the difference here is not only recognized, but the diversity is celebrated. And in that context, obviously we are comparing that Kashmiri community in this country needs to be recognized, which we estimate are about over 700,000 people across the country who are not recognized, and that's why their language, their issues also not recognized. So this is the brief I can say this time. Thank you very much.
Very well.